David Mach, ladies and gentlemen, there he is.
Hi, folks.
I had a little look on Saturday at your exhibition. Lots of red dots. Well done.
Yeah, that's very good. Yeah,
You're going to have a good Christmas.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's what you want.
That's basically.
I'm not doing it for fucking love, you know.
If you're bothered by the swearing,
he
will swear. I've gigged with him before. He's
Well,
a
there's a
nightmare.
notice in the gallery in amongst the artworks that says that you might be offended by some of the swearing there. I'm thinking, what? That's nothing, you know. So anyway.
But you know,
I'll try and be
in mitigation,
respectful.
methyl. So,
Yeah, that's true.
you know what I mean. Where they use the word "fuck" like a comma.
Yeah.
So
That's true. It's true.
it's quite right.
Yeah.
If you are bothered by the salty language, there's going to be some because it's David Mach. Just to yourself in the back of your head, go, "Oh, David," and that'll carry you through the rest of the evening perfectly well. I better start the stopwatch so we don't overrun, because I could imagine that you and I will do far too long if we don't watch ourselves. How did you? So, come on, working class background in methyl. Why art? That strikes me as me as an odd choice.
Yeah, it is, but it wasn't a choice though. I ended up in art by a whole set of lucky breaks. With my parents, who were completely eccentric and sort of fed me a whole bunch of eccentricities anyway. You know, that was there. I grew up in a place where they seemed to make everything at a rate of knots. So everybody was working furiously in methyl around that area. Everywhere I looked, I went to sleep at night with the brickworks sort of ringing in my ears, with the power station hooter going off, the docks, the oil rigs, the oil platforms, all that stuff, all around me. It just seemed to be encouraged to work all the time. You know, I really liked that work ethic. There's a kind of place where if you're standing around the street as a kid, somebody would belt you over the ear and say, "Look, busy." Is Jesus coming or something? You know? I mean, it was a bit like that, and I actually felt and I wanted to be that thing. I wanted to be that busy, and art was a thing that was like in a James Bond film or something. It was on another planet, you know. Although my parents they were very working class. My dad was a miner. My mum brought us up. They were very cultured. She was mad about music. We read voraciously. Yeah. We argued about politics and all sorts of stuff. A whole bunch of things like that. You know, went to museums and travelled. My dad was Polish, so we went to Poland. Yeah. I was going behind the Iron Curtain when other people were going to, Scarborough for their holidays or something like so. So you were getting all this extra stuff as a kid. I didn't know that at the time. Filtered show that you're sort of quite good at drawing. You're quite good at things like that. You get a wee reputation for that. But you don't think, I'm going to pursue a career as an artist. You wait till your art teacher says you should go to art college because we don't know what the hell else you're going to do, basically. But you won't get in because your portfolio is too small, you know. And of course, being a meth artist, well, fuck that then. You know, and I sort of locked myself in my bedroom and made my portfolio much, much bigger, and very luckily got into Dundee, thank God. You know? Yeah. And that changed everything. All of a sudden then I realised, I begin to realise what art is, because you're in your foundation year, you're looking at, you're drawing, you're sculpting, you're painting, you're drawing patterns for textiles, you're doing anatomy. There's a whole bunch of things you're doing. Jewellery and silversmithing, I loved that. I thought, I want to be a jeweller. You know, and they would laugh at the things that I made. They were so sort of big, and you need that kind of support to sort of lift these things up. When I look at them now, I think actually they weren't all that bad. You know, but now I'm still kind of keen on that kind of stuff. So it gave me this great range of things to do, and luckily for me, and during all of that time, I'm brought up in Scotland where you get the best education that's free. You know, from the best teachers who really knew what they were doing, who were paid properly, respected, and who could sort you out if you stepped out of line. And when you get to art college, the Dundee was just a fantastic art college. I mean, I was jammily lucky to get into that place at that particular time. That was world class. And because you're a kid and you want to work, and you just soak that all up. You know. So then you think about, maybe I could be an artist. But you don't know what that is then either. You know? It takes a long time. It took me 8 years from Dundee to London. I finished in Dundee, and I kind of know what an artist is, and then I think, oh, fuck, what do I do now? Because you've got to go out. Once I was, after 8 years, you're kind of institutionalised a bit, I guess. You know? You get into the street, and now I realise I've got to make money from what I do as well. Before I was getting grants, all that kind of stuff. That was also a very, very, very lucky break. You know, 8 years of grants. Yeah, which is pretty incredible, really. So it's the kind of thing we should be giving our kids now. Yeah. So I was a kind of a force during all of that. I wanted to make things. I really wanted to make stuff when I was at college, and I wanted to make things bigger and bigger. And I wanted to be kind of annoying. When people were sort of telling me to make, do this wee painting, I wanted to make this big thing that you couldn't get through the door or into the lift or in the back of the car. There was something, but I think that comes from being grown up in Methil, where they made everything was just enormous. It's fucking huge, you know. I mean, but I'd go to art college and it'd be a guy sort of welding 3 bits of steel, and I'd go, "Look at that! Wow, what do you think?" I said, "Well, fuck, not very much." A thing just passed my house this morning, the size of 3 double-decker buses. That was a part of a leg for a fucking monstrosity they're building just up the road. And so that looks like shit to me, you know. Although I wasn't brave enough to say that. I'd sort of go,
That's the first thing you learn at art school is chin stroking. I'll employ it now.
Yeah. Well, you're you don't know what to say. You don't know how to speak about it. You're scared. I was scared for the first 2 years at art college because I thought now they're going to find me out. I'm not really going to be any good at art.
Isn't that every artist? The self-doubt, the imposter syndrome. That is part of being an artist, surely.
Yeah, maybe. It was also the fact that when you were going back to Methil, you couldn't really tell anybody you were going to be an artist, or you would get your head kicked in. I was scared to get my head kicked in. You know?
What did you tell them in the pub when you went back then?
Well, no, I just sort of kept my mouth shut. When I went to the pub, I always made sure to know where the exits were. I do remember that, you know. But I mean, I remember going to my dad's funeral. It was a small enough area for everybody to know who you were. You'd know your name, know your mum and dad, know your brother, know your sister. It was a community like that. You grew up in that way, you know. You knew people's dogs' names over sort of 3 decades. Their budgies' names, how many goldfish they'd had died, you know, and all that stuff. And I remember at my dad's funeral, I'm looking at 2 miners over in the corner who've come to the funeral. The mine's shut by this time. Right, this is just shortly after Thatcher, and I'm looking at them and I'm thinking, I know all that information about those guys and their sons and their daughters, you know, all the rest of it, you know, and I'm wondering what they're going to say to me. My father has just died, you know, and is there going to be any? And they know that I'm an artist because they've seen things and you know all that sort of stuff, and they say, "Aye, Davy, still leaving piles of rubbish all over the place." And I'm going, fuck, at my own dad's funeral, you can't even bring yourself.
To be honest, and if I just barrel through here, let's just, how dare they? How bloody dare they? How dare they?
Coming soon to a town near you.
We can see that. But this is it. This is what I love about, and I'm going to go forward to the Galway piece, because what I love about your art is when I see you clambering over it. You are. It's like, look at him.
Yeah,
you look like the happiest little boy in the world.
I'm a pig in shit there, definitely.
And look at you. So I remember, because I was watching your Instagram feed when you were in Galway, and you went, I got a Capri, and I got a boat, and I got a drill, and I got piles of newspapers. It's going to be brilliant. And they give me a warehouse. It's going to be fantastic. And look at it. It's unbelievable. And a caravan.
I could have done it with a Capri. Everybody came in and just made a beeline for the Capri. You wouldn't bother about the art. You know, honestly, I should just have anybody with any fucking sense, any contemporary artist, any Turner Prize winning artist would just leave the Capri there, take the rest of that shit away, and I would have got the fucking prize, you know. So yeah.
It's the scale of work. Is that definitely is that the industry in you? Is that the manufacturer? Is that the noise? Is that the?
It's all.
Is
of
there
those
something
things.
About that? This is work.
Yeah, definitely, this is work, and it has to be dramatic. I mean, I grew again back to my parents. They were both very dramatic. You know, my dad had been in a Siberian labor camp for a couple of years. He'd been marched. He'd been chained to the back of a tractor and hauled into Siberia. You know, you're talking to your pals about their dads and stuff. What is your dad? Well, my dad was chained to the back of a tractor and hauled into Siberia. And he would just go, fuck off. You know, because he didn't have an answer to that, you know. But my dad was like that all the time. He was that fucking dramatic, you know. You know? And my mother was almost equally dramatic, you know. She had been sold as a baby in a pub in Maryhill to my granny and granddad. He became my granny and granddad, and he brought her up. The woman who had her had too many kids by too many different men, and they would do that. It was an act. The whole thing was an act of kindness, and kind of, you know, that's how people behaved then. So she's sold, you know, and lucky for her, my granddad sort of brings her up. He was a great man. She marries my dad, who's a great man, who loved her endlessly, kind of thing. But she is completely fucked by the fact that she's been sold as a child, you know. And so the drama of that pours through her life. So we have to listen to some music. Let's put some Frankie on. Frankie's coming tonight. And for a while, I thought we actually knew Frank Sinatra, you know, that he was actually coming to the fucking house, you know, with Dino. You know, with the Rat Pack, and she would listen to them, to Tchaikovsky, to Gypsy Violinist, you know, to every damn thing under the sun, because she needed to get a lift and sort of make this to her mundane life, I guess, you know, higher than it was, you know. And so the pair, you're in between those two. She was incredibly negative, this woman. You know, she was really kind of she had terrible depression in the end, and she would say things like. You'd be watching it, her attitude could change in seconds. She'd be quite cheery. I'd turn around and sort of stub out a cigarette. It was only 6, you know. And then I'd turn back and she'd be sort of crying. And she'd go, you know, David, God doesn't love me. Yeah, and you're going, oh my God. I'm going, fuck him then. Fuck, you know, doing the mental thing again. Yeah? Fuck God if he doesn't love you. You know, you're trying to protect your mother. And then she'd swing back to, let's put some Frankie on, you know. So it was kind of mad. The whole kind of upbringing was kind of crazy like that. But I think, and they had a weird sort of kind of way of working things out as well, you know. They had a weird kind of, you know, my dad could survive being hauled into Siberia to God knows what by people who wanted to kill him, starve him, work him to death, and goodness knows what else, and he could deal with that. But if you took him to a fucking buffet, he was screwed. You know, I mean, I used to, we'd be standing at a buffet in a fancy hotel, and he'd be like, you know, so it'd be like that. What do we do, you know? I'm going, Dad, they're only like vegetables. And so we'd have to sort of go through this kind of weird. That's all right, yeah. Take a seat. You're getting there. You're getting there. Yeah. So yeah, it's all
coming through.
But, yeah. Oh. You getting?
Yeah. It's quite all right.
Yeah.
Get your own show, mate.
He always does this. I forgot where I was now. Never mind.
It's all right. There we are. He was at the buffet with his dad.
I was at a buffet with my dad, that's right. Yeah. I worry about that, because I think I've got elements of that in me.
Yeah.
Where you know, that I can deal with you know, like, are you going to make a big piece of sculpture? You're talking to the artist, and you look at the artist and you go, yeah, I'm going to make a big piece of sculpture. And you go and look at the big piece of sculpture, and it's only the size of that thing over there. And you think, well, that's not very fucking big, you know. You know, and if you're going to tell me you're going to make a big piece of sculpture, I want to be unable to get into the gallery. You know, I want the roads to be blocked in every fucking direction for 10 miles. I want, you know, protests. I want, you know, I want that kind of thing around what I do, you know. And there was a point to me saying that, and I forgot where I was.
But it's the drama. It's the drama and the scale, you've got the drama of your father being in the Eastern Bloc and being dragged behind tractors. Your mother in a working class environment, wrestling with what we now all know and can hear is depression, but it's something that at the time you didn't talk about.
No,
people
right.
didn't talk about.
You just suffered from this.
Yeah,
thing.
you just kind of go through it.
Yeah.
Which
and my dad did he should have done something else, but he served her hand and foot. The woman was like, well, she wasn't an alcoholic, but she drank more than alcoholics. You know, she lived off cream cakes and tea with like 6 spoonfuls of sugar And she would take a handful of pills and knock them back and wash that down with, what have we got in the cupboard, David? There's vodka, Mum. Give me the vodka. You know, or could have been Advoca, could have been Pernod, could have been, you know, whatever the hell it was. And she'd knock that back enough to kill several horses and a dozen oxes as well every day. Nothing. No effect at all. You know, she must have had the heart of an elephant or something to survive all that sort of stuff. And really, she should have, I don't know what she could have done to sort of change her circumstances there, but my dad just kept feeding that. And he would actually go to the doctors and describe symptoms that she professed that she had in order to get pills, medication for her. Until one day he went to the doctor and he said, I'm not going back. They want to take me in for tests because what I've got, apparently the women get what I've now got. Yeah, so the drugs stopped at that point, I remember, you know. And actually, I remember going to see that doctor and say, she was on dozens of repeat prescriptions for things, for painkillers for pregnant women, all that sort of stuff, you know. And I went up and saw the guy. I said, you got to take her off gradually. Let's stop giving her all of these stuff, you know, all these things. And he panicked. And he took her off in a wunner. And she went through this amazing, sort of calm down, you know, but survived that as well. Yeah. So anyway, those are the kind of things that are in your kind of background, and they're not like hey, let's encourage our sons and daughters to be artists, or they're letting you grow up by yourself in a way. You're finding other things for you, you know.
Brothers and sisters?
Yeah, sister and brother, both very artistic. My brother works with me.
Yeah.
My sister was a great painter, you know. So they have that weird set of logics as well. That's the word I was trying to remember before. They had a weird way of working things out. So your sense of humour was odd. The way you received news and the way you sort of deciphered that was kind of odd. You know, so we argued about everything then, which was great. Yeah. You know, we'd argue, we'd be screaming and shouting at each other in that house all day, all night, you know. And but everybody was perfectly happy. There was no kind of, you know, ill feeling. And to this day, I still have trouble arguing with people because that's how I argue. I get up on the fucking table and I call my host a twat. And and I've been thrown out of many a dinner party where that's not how we behave in civilized society, you know. And I thought that was how you behave. If you argue about something and you feel something strongly, then you should express that in a way that comes across, you know. You know. So I'm still kind of like that. You know?
It's a potent combination. There's that kind of East European from your dad, and your mother, and growing up in metal, the Scottish. That's a potent mix.
Well, I mean, we had a weird some sort of living thing where my mum's from Maryhill in Glasgow, and we spent a hell of a lot of time there because she hated being in Fife, you know. And we'd be back through to my granddad's tenement every week almost. So you kind of partially grew up there. And my granddad's this ferocious, they weren't Ouija's then, they were Glaswegians. You didn't get Ouija's at that time. And Glasgow was still this dirty, great, big, smelly, filthy, second city of the empire, like New York. It was a totally different city to the city that's there now. My granddad's like 4'6" of absolute fucking fury. You know, I mean, it's amazing that he performed that act of kindness buying my mum in the pub to sort of look after her. But here's this man who's just fucking furious. I remember watching the moon landings. And, in Glasgow, in this dark tenement, the tenements used to scare the shit out of me, you know. Because in Fife, Methil was practically Shangri-La and sort of, compared to that, you know. I mean, I remember they had the toilet was 2 floors up, and you had to, as a wee boy, you were given a bit of paper. Actually, he gave you newspaper. He used to cut up the day record and give you that. and you did head up the toilet by yourself in this dark tenement with all the lights were off, you know, and things were broken, and you could hear folk beating each other up in the various houses as you sort of walked up the stairs, you know. And you get up to the toilet and you'd open the door and go like that, and there'd be a corridor as long as from here to that back wall, and a wee sort of a pan sitting there. I think I'm not fucking going in there. I wouldn't shit for a week. I'd wait till we got back to it. I'm digressing there, but we're watching the moon landings, and there's Neil Armstrong doing his funny, kind of crazy, sort of leaping about, and my granddad's going, he's not on the fucking moon. So every viewpoint from every sort of member of my family, they were all kind of daft, was kind of crazy. So I was virtually silent for the first sort of 2.5 years of art college until I was brave enough to actually sort of venture out a bit. And then you get a little bit more brave, and you find your way, and you find things that you like to do, and you discover the idea that there are people who are called artists, and they make these things, and then you start making decisions about what you think is important art, what you think is good, what you think is bad, what you think is boring, what you think. And I made a decision that sculpture was the most interesting thing because it covered, every damn thing. I could make a video and I'd be a sculptor. I could make a film. I could be a sculptor. Hell, I could be painting stuff now. Still describe myself as a sculptor,
Yeah.
So I kind of liked that. It opened up a whole bunch of things to me, and I just couldn't get enough of it. And I'd worked we break into the college in the morning and have to be thrown out at night, away from the place. And lucky for me, you're in Dundee, and you could, your grant was pretty good. Living in Dundee was incredibly cheap. You'd be up at the back of the pub drinking every night. 4 black and tans and a cheese sandwich for dinner, kept me regular for years. That was amazing. And you're eating. I used to go for business lunches in the Chinese restaurant. I remember the canteen. I remember thinking the canteen was shit. For God's sake, come down to the Chinese restaurant down near the bridge. They do great businessmen's lunches, and everybody's just looking at you like, "Whoa, who is it art college that goes for?" Then that was quite an odd thing, So I'd go down there and have a business lunch by myself. I'd have a 3-course lunch, and then go back up to the college, and you're passing the T-Bone, the restaurant where you can get a fabulous steak for nothing, So you lived incredibly well in amongst all this stuff, And the place is cheap, so you rent a studio as well as working in the college. You actually rent your own studio. Who's able to do that now, That's completely mad. So I'd go and work all day in the college, and I'd be been in my studio at night, where a building that was run by a religious order called Maris Brothers, and they rented out all this space to artists, I'd be in there in the middle of the night, and I'd try and chop my hand off with an axe, or I'd slice through something with a saw, and I'd run into the yard of this church shouting, "I'm bleeding!" And a Maris brother would come out and sort you out. I said, fucking they don't know. It was mainly guys. There was one that was they had Mary who looked after this big busty woman. And I remember sort of running out one night, sort of gushing blood all over the place, and Mary sticking her head out of the door. And she was very friendly with the head religious guy, whatever you call it, I can't remember. But so everything was kind of larger than life, and just not ordinary. And I loved that. I loved the whole idea of that. And there wasn't any. Meanwhile, your mum and dad are sort of going. They've got no idea what you do or what an artist is or what They do, but when they look at me, it's another thing, And it's like my dad would say when I was in 4th year at art college, "Do you still do arithmetic, son?" And stuff like that. They had no concept of further education. My dad's further education was being hauled into Siberia at the back of a tractor and actually made he worked in the mines there. God knows what that was like. They had to build their own accommodation, as it was described. And they had to go, he didn't say, it wasn't like on Wednesday we had to go and listen to the commissar telling us how friendly and how good Comrade Stalin was for us all. But they would try and indoctrinate people. And I was thinking, no, that's actually my dad. That's my dad's university. He went. That's what happened to him when he was like 18. I suppose that would be, But so his take on anything isn't going to be anything like mine at all. We're father and son, and we're growing up in the same house here, and I kind of know what you do, but you've got no fucking idea what I do. And it doesn't matter. I don't need you to know that. He would have been happy for me to sweep the streets. As like if I was happy doing that and making enough money to live on, and on you go, son. You know, you're on your own in that sense. You know, so
Must
it wasn't
imagine-
it wasn't a kind of middle class. Kind
Yeah.
of, well, you must aspire to some better thing here. We had none of that. We had nothing like that at all. You know, my dad was relieved, I think, to survive Siberia and the war. He was at Arnhem and various other things. And he survived. His whole family survived, and they were in concentration camps. They were in labour camps. They were fighting in penal battalions with the Russian front. Every fucking one of these guys survived all of that stuff. You know, I guess because they were lucky, and also they were made of good stuff. And then my dad was the most confident man. Maybe no confidence, not the right word. The most sure of himself man, without being arrogant about it. You know.
Yeah.
You didn't look at him and think, oh, he's worried about something, or he didn't think anything like that. But he didn't think, oh, he was being big-headed about something either. But that's maybe an aside thing, because like in Methil, if you showed any signs at all of conceit, things would fall out of the fucking sky and get you. I mean, I got the neighbours sort of, lining up at the door with fucking bats and chains to sort you out, you big-headed bastard. Yeah. So he didn't do that. I'm still kind of funny about that.
But you say that, but there's...
Well, I'm a big headed about that.
But no, but you, coming from Methil and doing these things that you do, you know, how do you think it would be perceived by your old neighbours and their dogs and their goldfish?
Oof. I still think you're just a wanker of some sort, you know? There'd be some sort of element of luck involved in that. I mean, I know quite. I've been funny because I've got a house in Largo.
Yeah.
I meet people there that I was at school with. You know, I was at primary school with these guys. I go on the beach and I still, people are shouting, "Hey, Victor, hey, David," and we knew each other when we were 5 or 6. I don't think they've got any opinion about me at all. You know, maybe that's where they don't need to. You know, you're just a kind of. It's maybe different for you because you're a TV personality. We know your face. It's on a screen. It's something you see all the time. You don't see me. They only read it. They see something occasionally about me and wonder what the fuck it is he does.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's a different thing. You know, so my delivery, if I'm working in Japan, they've got no idea that's happening. If I'm working, and I quite like saying that to folk like that. You know, oh yeah, I've just come back from Japan. I'm going off to San Francisco next week.
Yeah, that's not big-headed.
No, but yeah, I'll just sort of shove that out the table and sort of wait for the kind of the comeback on that. But so maybe it's just not. I mean, and I quite like the fact that they don't. It's not necessary. It's a Scottish thing as much as anything. It's not just a Fife thing.
It's not. Do have a lot of it. It's not a disrespectful thing, but it's like one of the reasons that I decided to live up here is people, they don't really care what you do. Yeah. Genuinely, they don't really care. Oh, they'll chat to you.
Yeah.
But they don't really care. It's what you get down south is say something funny. You don't get that in Scotland. You don't get that up here. There's just it's Phil. You like big man. You like big man.
They would say, say something funny for a change.
Yeah.
They say it like that. You know.
It's one of the. It's the thing is, and I said it at that gig, but it's absolutely true. Is everyone in Scotland is funnier than me, right? So I bumped into this. So I'm walking. I'm in Anstruther. I'm walking down the road in Anstruther, and there's this guy says, "All right, big man." I'm like, "Yeah, right." I heard you're staying up here now. And I'm like, yeah. Just live up the road a bit. He went, hey, do you like it? Do you like it in Fife? Do you? And I'm like, yeah. No, it's lovely. So which football team you going to see then? And I'm like, well, funny enough, a mate of mine, Val McDermott, took me to see Rafe Rovers. And then there's a lad from the Scotsman. He wants me to go and see East Fife with him. And so I'm just waiting for a phone call from Cowdenbeath. And he went, they've not got a phone.
That's pretty good.
So,
Yeah, there's lots of chewed up here.
Yeah, and I like that.
No, that's good. Actually, you get it all over the UK too, you do. And I still like that about this country. I mean, we're in a hell of a fucking state now. God knows what the hell's going. I've got no idea. But we're constantly sort of berating everything about it as well. But actually, thank God we actually live in this fucking island as well. I have to keep reminding myself of that. If I drive up from London to here, I've taken to going into the country now, so I'm getting fed up driving at 40 fucking miles an hour on the AM1 because of the road works.
Yeah.
And stuff. So let's go. We'll do 45 in the hill. We'll do that. And you look at the place and think, God, it's gorgeous here. You know, and you stop someplace for something and you listen to an accent, and it's fucking gorgeous as well. And that accent changes every 10 miles. Well, the next 100, you know, that's fabulous. It's just great, you know. And they get cheekier and cheekier maybe as the further you move away from London. Maybe that's true. Maybe that is right.
I mean, I have to point out that the other reason that I moved to Scotland was so I could call people from Yorkshire Southerners.
Yeah.
That's literally the only reason that I did it, just to you shandy drinking wankers.
Soft Southern
They really don't like that at all. So we. I mean, obviously, looking. I'm skipping around the work. Look at that Capri. You were right. That Capri.
The guy that gave us that Capri got that was his wedding car. He got married and he went off in that Capri.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was still a bit of string with a can tied to the back of the thing.
It's a beaut. But
that's a lovely shape, that thing there.
Look at that.
When I work with these newspapers and magazines, I like making these pieces because they're, they become as big as I can. But I've made, that's what, 10, 15 tons of stuff.
Yeah.
Newspapers. I've made those 250 tons big. In museums that actually complained in the end and said, "Fucking stop." That is enough. Because when I ask for more stuff, I go, but I'm so kind of well, but I need to make it. You know? I'm still there, and they're sort of there, and then all of a sudden the mental thing comes out. Oh, you're going to fucking stop me? Ooh, don't like that much. Fuck, you're in trouble now, pal. But. And none of these things are fixed. They rely on the space that you're in. When you're making them, you have to make them live. You can't make them in a corner sort of like that and then sort of pop them out and then run away. You've got to be there with the fucking thing. So if the guy's going to call you, pardon my French, a cunt while you're doing it.
Language, Timothy.
I know.
It's not the 70s.
I know. Then you should be there to reply to that. You shouldn't actually. It shouldn't be a letter or an email. Or so I like that. Contact like that, you know. You don't. I mean, the galleries would bother me a lot. Working in galleries and museums, and I've worked in a lot of them all over the damn place. I've dealt with directors, I've dealt with curators, I've dealt with all of these things, and I'm suspicious and worry about all of those people, you know, interfering with what I do. I actually think that the top sort of all of that, of the strata there, the levels that you get of curators and directors and administrators, etc. Well, the artist is actually at the top there, and it's actually if you just pay attention to it, you know that there's a show in Tokyo. It's traveling fucking first class. The guy who's taking it, the director and the curator, they're traveling in business class. You don't have to pay for your own fucking ticket. All that kind of stuff happens. I don't like that. You don't exist without the people making this stuff. You know, you don't exist with it. You know, you can't. I mean, if it was a comic thing, you got to be somebody who is funny, or it doesn't fucking work.
I know that.
You know? So I like that pecking order, and I have a very difficult time sometimes talking about that in museums and galleries.
Particularly in front of, directors of...
Well, yeah, exactly. You know, so I've made terrible mistakes over the last sort of 4 decades, and that's that kind of direction.
Royal Scottish Academies, if there is a...
All these things. So I've survived it in the main.
Oh, yeah.
But it's still kind of... there are some people that still bear a grudge, you know.
I can't imagine why, love. So I loved. I remember when you did that.
Well, I'm really excited about this. This is coming to near the Gyle. Yeah, you might have seen this in the papers, yeah? This is a marketing suite I've designed for my first piece of architecture. I mean, wow. I wish my dad was alive for that. Now, he would have been impressed with that.
Yeah.
You're making a piece of architecture, son. Do you know what you're doing? Yeah. Do I have to know? Yeah. So, but it's my first piece of architecture. It's a big old thing. It's like my sculpture. It is going to be made. We're working with engineers to actually sort of work out all the gubbins of the thing. It's a very unusual building, as you can see. Yeah. It's got planning. Edinburgh Council has given it the planning permission already. You know, they thought it was going to be a problem getting it through. It whizzed through. You know. Yeah. So there's an interesting thing. I'm hoping that it's going to become a venue for the Fringe or the festival.
Can I have that one at a funny angle at the top there?
I can see you in the balcony there. My people.
No, you keep talking like this. They're going to give you the trams contract. Look at that. That's a thing, isn't it?
It's a sizable thing. I mean, the weird thing is that I've got a new gallery in London, and they bring these architects to me, and the architects say we're looking for a building. We want it made with containers. We've asked loads of other architects already, and they keep giving us the same thing. They're stacked properly and stuff. And I've already got these ideas in my head. I run that by them and say what they say. We like that. And then you go through, and then you're thinking, oh shit, no, I've got to try and not have these architects fuck about with my building. No, you know, but actually, it's so far so good. It's all going, going really well. On the back of that, I'm talking to a Syrian friend who's rebuilding Syria, according to him. And would you like to design some new buildings for the university in Damascus? And my chin, get your fuck off the floor there. You know, yeah, I would. I'd really like to do that. So you start working on ideas for architecture, and it used to be like that. That's how you used to get jobs. That's how you used to get shows. That's how I used to get kind of exhibitions, you know. Now there's a kind of bureaucratic nightmare of, some sort of weird cobweb structure you've got to go through to somehow pop it at the end of that with an exhibition in someplace. Yeah. You know, it's quite a crazy thing. I always thought if you made something that everybody just loved, they would want you to, you'd get to make it. That's naive. That's naive beyond belief. But how do you know when it's good? Well, I believe it's that good they want me to make this thing. But so I don't know whether there's an arrogance or a conceit or something else there that I would not try to lay claim to, but probably maybe is there, you know. But I want you to look at the thing I've just made and go, holy fuck, we've got to build this, you know. Or Jesus God, I need to see that on my walls. Get your pursuit. Yeah, Maisie, buy the damn thing. I want. Yeah, that's what I want. I want you to love the thing. I want you to throw money at me, you know, and I want you to ask me for more. So I'm not actually. I think that greed has developed over the years. I think that kind of greed I kind of like, and I think artists need that. I think they need. There's something within that greed. That it's like saying something funny, and you get a great sort of laugh at it. Right. But you want them falling off their fucking chairs and exploding into flames. Yeah,
but it's that desire for reaction. Is that a greed? Do you think that's?
Well, maybe it's not greed then. Maybe I'm using the wrong word.
It's just that it's a need.
A need. Yeah.
There's a need for
psychologists would have something to say about it. Have we got any psychologists in there? No.
We might have. They can fill it. Right. What I wanted to do was I'm gonna work my way back through these now. So the scale of all the big stuff you were doing, which we know, we love, submarines, phone boxes, containers, gorillas, stuff. And then when I saw your show at Cooper last year with these small collage pieces, which I, like you said earlier, I think of these as sculptures, tiny sculptures. These are where did this come from? This incredibly small scale stuff.
Well, see, for me it's not. For me, it's not small scale. That's a funny thing. Imagine me as a kind of from 5 to 18. Every sort of year, every second year, traveling to Poland on trains. To go to spend 5 weeks on the holiday there. Before I go there, I go to the local newsagents, and I would either try to buy or steal as many commando books as I could get, because I was going to be away in a foreign country for all that time. I needed something to read, you know. Yeah. And these, I remember sort of lying on the train on a couchette, you know, a train going through level crossings through Berlin, and with guards and Alsatian dogs on the platform and stuff. And I've got my little commando book, I'm in a spy thriller, definitely. Every sort of 100 yards are coming and asking you to look at your passport. My dad's getting all fucking uppity. I was killing these bastards 5 minutes ago. Now they want to look at my fucking passport. I'm going, Dad, calm down. You know? All that stuff. So they were like an epic Cecil B. DeMille, these wee comics. Yeah. And you could read them 50 times and get something new out of them every time. Now, bizarrely, years and years later, I wandered into a shop, and there's a guy there before they started putting all these things in cellophane wrappers and selling them for 20 quid each. A guy's got 2 huge suitcases of commando books. I was saying, how much do you want for that? Oh, a fiver. Oh, fucking, I'll give you 20 quid. Here you go. Best money I've ever spent, And I started making things. I started making little things just from that point, Yeah. And then, like I'm saying about reading the stories, and you could read them time and time again and get something different out of them every time. Every time I look at the page of a commando book now, ideas just jump out at me. I get 10 ideas from one image.
Yeah.
And I'm now in a race against time before I die to make thousands of these things, because I've got a backlog of those ideas waiting to be done, waiting to be made. And that feature, because these are war comics, they're little war comics for kids.
Yeah.
But then they've morphed into these kind of things about sex and about social things and about politics.
This
and about,
obvious one here, contactless. I like that.
Contactless,
And what I like is that you find a theme and then you kind of mine it.
These guys are like these.
I like them.
This is a kind of combination, a combo. This is like a bunty, I think. Same era as the commando book. So you've got a kind of soldier from the commando book, and you've got. And see, what I'll do is I'll flick through all these things. I'll start filing them. I'll try to find a way to file them.
Yeah.
Right. I don't quite know how I've got that girl filed at all, but she's the original image of her is she's hanging onto this Indian, and it's a story of her sort of wrestling an Indian. And I mean like not a cowboy, an Indian from the other place. She's doing that, and I don't pay any attention to it. It's just lying there for a bit. And then that guy, he's in another thing with bagpipes or something like that. And the two somehow, in my head, make their way towards each other until I read, oh my God, I could put him. She could be grabbing onto him, And so I think the first one I made was a cowboy, as a matter of fact. Right? So I've made a whole series. So she's hanging on the cowboy, and then I get that gives me the title goes Bing, Lady's Choice. When you used to go to dances as a kid, that would be a lady's choice to ask you for that. So lady's choice, So I've done a whole series of them, and funnily enough, I've started doing the opposite, where you've got a guy grabbing onto somebody or something.
Yeah.
So I've done with the girl. There's one with a ballerina. There's one with a deep sea diver.
She's got a welder.
All that sort of stuff. So there's a wee series that I can't stop making. And I just love. I did the man's one, and it looked really terrible. It looked like he was sort of pulling a girl to the ground, and my God, that's not going to work. So I had to sort of change the style of it, and I eventually got something that I liked and was perfectly acceptable. And it's what the hell is that called? Gentleman's Relish. Which is it doesn't sound particularly PC, But when if you've got the guy around a cowboy.
Yeah.
Then that changes that. So, and then you start to actually talk about all the things we're talking about today, about gender and about sex and all the rest of it, from a commando book, for God's sake, where you wouldn't expect to sort of arrive at that place, but they're feeding the ideas, And then if you're lucky, if you jump into something like this, and you pick out a kind of, what does it say up there? Yeah, jump for it. We're going over. You think, oh my God, it's brilliant. I'll just make a whole series of. But
I like that it's a lot of them, and having looked at the exhibition in one lump, lots of peril. You do like peril.
Yeah.
And I like these, when you play with the words, and also the grammar of comics, and the fact that there's all this arg. I mean, how many of us? Arg.
Hello.
Anyone's ever said that?
But surely, don't you feel like that?
GH.
But you feel like that every day, though. You go through life going, fuck, shit, what are you going to do to us now?
Ugh is definitely different to arg. Yeah. You've got a couple of ugs there as well. Arg, what's that dun up there? And then what the? These are, and I love the cliffhangers. Yeah. The cliffhanger series, which you'll see if you've been to the exhibition next door. Yeah. The space in them. I just love the fact. What they remind me of massively is, you remember in the Roadrunner cartoons, when he'd be chasing the Roadrunner, and then he'd be in a cloud, and then his toe would go, And then the cloud would clear and he was 4 foot away from the cliff. Then he'd drop, only when he realised there wasn't any ground anymore.
I've actually done that.
You what?
I went skiing once. The first time I went skiing, right? And they're all going. When I was 50 when the first time I went skiing in
What were you
Italy.
thinking?
I know. So and I'm going up and down, getting on quite the thing, and my pal was really pissed off because fuck, he's quite good at this, you know. And so I go off by myself, and a cloud comes down, gets frozen, and I can't see a damn thing. And I know that I'm hurtling down this thing at some speed, and I can't remember where the end of it is, you know. And I don't feel anything. And I'm completely, I've gone off the fucking edge, you know. And now I'm thinking, oh no. And I hit a pilot, you know, like that, and I'm down on the fucking deck. And lucky for me, didn't actually sort of, nothing happened. I just sort of got, you know, slightly embarrassed. I could have been killed, you know. But that doesn't inspire that. But I remember that feeling of, when you're actually thinking, quick phone call. You've only got seconds before you're going to hit something. But it's exactly the same sort of position of trying to find out what the hell's coming next. You know? And maybe that's what that's about. What's coming?
But that's it. That you that idea. Shh. And so first of all, shh, oh shit, I can't see anything. Shh. And then that realisation. Hang on, wait.
Yeah.
Oh God, that must be horrible.
Yeah. Well, actually, I never did it.
Did you think you were going to die?
Twice.
I
I was just being completely stupid. I was so excited at being able to ski at that late age. You know?
Absolute dick.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely.
No, I didn't think I was going to die. What a laugh this is. Oh, we went the wrong way. Back. There we go.
Yeah,
These
guys. Yeah.
I love these. Because what I got from you at Cooper, what I bought at Cooper, was the surfers on this sea of words. That's something, you know.
For me, there's a kind of comment about having to kind of deal with the shit you've got to deal with every day. And those R's and oh, fuck, you know, all this. When you read about something, you think, oh, what the fuck are they doing there? Or you watch the TV, you hear the news, or whatever the hell it is, and you inside of you is doing that thing. You know, they're making all those fucking noises, and you've got to survive this. So they're kind of physical, kind of sort of drawings of or something like that. I love all those wee words. There are people in Dundee making those words up, you know, or when they're working for DC Thompson, and one of them's got A R G G G G H. Yeah, it's like really fucking long.
Yeah,
and I now look for those things as little sort of real gems. You know, I've not got one of them. You know.
I've got to say, I quite like, where is it? Where's my little, I like yow. I do like yow.
Yeah.
That seems to come from nowhere. Yow. That's because all the others, I like A. You got A? You got yarg. Snick.
Snick.
That's from Viz, surely.
It might well be, actually.
I think you might have, I think Snick
might have veered off target. Yeah.
Might be, but I think you could have called that one Twitter. Yeah. That to me looks like the internet. That we are in a canoe that's going to go over any second and just bury us in absolute nonsense.
An avalanche of nonsense, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Love that. Love the Fourth Bridge one.
See, it's an interesting thing for me to jump from that with the words to that, because you're using the same stuff. Yeah. You're basically using the same sort of kit, but you're making a nice picture in a way. But if you look at the sky behind the clouds there, all those little bits of cross-hatching, and the way that those guys drew it. One of the reasons I started using those comics, truthfully, is because the drawing in them is fantastic. And you cannot beat really great drawing. Great drawing will give you ideas all the time, you know?
But the guys that were doing, particularly the chaps for Commando and Battle Picture Library, and even the boys in Dundee that were doing, you know, Beano and Dandy and so forth, that's an industry, because they've got every week. We've got to have new stuff every week. And so they're producing at a prodigious rate. Yeah. And so they're extraordinary.
Under pressure. That's amazing stuff, you know. I mean, this is something, if you think about it, if you take 5 minutes to think about what could have happened. When I look back over what other people would call a career, and I think, fuck, I can't really call it that. This is a series of things that happened over so many decades. I wonder how the fuck I made any money at all from what I did. Or was asked back again to repeat that, or anything like that at all that would just keep me going. And I think, and it gives me honestly, I'll get the collie wobbles thinking about it. My God, I mean, how lucky is that you're asked repeatedly? And actually, I used to say to my wife, when we'd finished our show, let's get the fuck out of here before they find out what they've got. You know, that's true. You know? She was always weeping when she left. She loved it forever.
It was what I quite this 1 o'clock gun. Look at that. There's an image you won't be able to forget every time you hear it from now on. What happens is when you hear it from now on, particularly if you're anywhere near Princes Street, you're going to go. You're going to be looking for him. You're going to be looking for him. That is an absolute beauty. That. I bet that was the first thing to sell.
Well, I mean, the thing is that I see the drawing of the gun there with the Fatum together.
Yeah.
It's and I've got a whole bunch of these, so there's going to be more of these things.
Yeah.
There's another This is the trouble with these, is you can't do one.
No,
you have to do a series of each thing. So,
What I can see is that honestly, when I went to see the show, it's and your big sculpture makes me go, fuck. These make me laugh. I laugh a lot at these. I think you're a slightly frustrated comedian. True or false?
Yeah, no, I think
because I did a gig with you recently, and you're very good.
Well, no, I liked it. Yeah,
with a room. I mean,
but
you're a bit
the funny
sweary.
thing with the art world is they don't like you being funny. Or actually, it's changing though. I think they've noticed that funny is actually okay.
Yeah,
they're actually starting to talk about artists who are funny. But when I was funny 30 years ago, it was like, what the fuck's this? You know, this is not on. We can't have somebody being funny at the Tate. You know? You know, and really, it was quite an odd thing. I mean, I guess there's always been a problem for me to. I mean, it's not been a problem, but I've always felt an uncomfortable fit with all that sort of stuff. You know, when you come from where I come from, and everybody wants to take the piss out of you, and everybody wants to sort of knock the feet out from under you, sort of thing, in a funny way, and sometimes in a very kind of in a kind of generous way, in a odd sort of. I think great humour is generous stuff. It's not nasty and vindictive.
Yeah.
You know, so that's quite important. But so yeah, I'd love to do. I mean, I'm writing poetry now.
Yeah.
Know, and trying to. I'm aware that I want to be funny. I want you to laugh. I'm writing other stuff now, and I know that I find that funny. When I read it, I want you to laugh. I want to hear you laughing. You know,
yeah.
I think all the people who've been given knighthoods and making barons and lords should be fucking driven to the nearest cliff edge, you know, and sort of dealt with it. And we should actually get a lot of the comedians that this country has. You know, Ahmed, Jalili, you know, all these guys who actually make you laugh your socks off and help you get through the fucking day and the week and the year, you know, and they say things that are really important. And I love that. I think that is fucking amazing, you know. And actually now, your comedians are having a pretty good time, I guess. Or some comedians are having a pretty good time. It's possible to make a lot of money as a comedian now. You know, all that kind of stuff. Years and years ago, it would have been a different thing.
They're going to university in Dundee.
Or they're going to university in Dundee. Yeah. It's amazing.
Or they're, you know.
You picked the right one though.
Or they're, you know what? Yeah. I like these when the similarity between. Look at that, goalkeeper's nightmare. I used to be a goalkeeper when I was a kid. What position did you play?
I was a goalkeeper. Yeah.
Of course you were. Look at you, you rangy fucker. It's like
big ends.
You look like a sexy crane fly. Look at that. Look at that.
See, that's so easy for me to do. Something like that.
I love that.
I can just enjoy the kind of arrangement of something like that and the colour. And you'll put a few in and you go, no, it's not enough. Shit. You know, then it starts to turn into work because you've got to put more and more in.
But I love that kind of rubbish colour separation they used to have in comics.
Yeah, no, fantastic.
When they just spot colour in comics.
But don't you think, wouldn't that be great if you could turn that into kind of a lava lamp? You know what? You remember that game you used to sit at, you know, when it go poop, and the thing would go across there, you go poop, and sort of come back and go
Pong.
What is that what it's called?
Pong.
Well, that's a bit like that. Imagine those things sort of floating around. You know, kind of,
asteroids.
Yeah, kind of asteroids.
Oh, yeah. I'm all for that.
I should try and get one of those things made. You know?
I do like these.
This cloudburst
of
series,
useful possessions.
Yeah. Well, you'll know the original cloudburst of material possessions is a very famous Da Vinci cartoon.
Yeah.
So that's a beautiful thing. Way centuries ahead of its time.
Yeah.
You know, and I spotted that years ago, and I go, wow. you know. So eventually that kind of crops up with these things. Because quite a lot of the cartoons you'll get, if you've got a commando book, they're all looking at the sky because there's going to be an airplane kind of firing bullets at them anytime soon, you know. So I've got files of guys looking up, sort of thing. So eventually you're going to go, they need to look at something coming at them, you know. So then I can go to the file of objects. It's true, you know. And I'm looking through the file going, that's a spanner, fuck. Oh yeah, fuck, a useful object. Oh shit. So there you go. Let's go for useful objects. Then you can just sort of change it each time. You've got a file of artistic, like paintings, frames, paintbrushes, easels falling out of the sky. You know, there's a thing there that can just happen.
Yeah.
And so nicely for me. I'm pathetically excited by them. I mean, I'll nip upstairs after I've made 2 or 3 and go, look what I've made. You know, like I'm sort of 5. And
once you've so there you are. You've got all your bits. So you've got your men looking up. You've got your ladies grabbing people around the waist. You've got your tools. You've got your footballs. Your parachutists. You've got your. So is it like how quick to turn one round once you've got the idea?
Well, annoyingly, some of them will take the whole damn day because there's such a lot of detail in them. Yeah. And another day you'll make 6 or 7 in a day. You know?
Right.
And that's being interfered with other work. You know, I'd never get a clear day to do it. You know, so they're relatively quick. Now that is an absolute delight for me because I'm used to doing collages that take 3 months and have 8 people working on them.
Yeah.
And sort of cutting stuff up and making bits for that. So for me to actually finish a piece in a day is like, wow. I mean, fuck, I'm in 7th heaven, you know.
But it's quite freeing in a way, I suppose, for you, particularly, you know. I mean, when you compare it to something like that, I'm moving forward now to where, there, you, look at that. Yeah. Look at that.
Well, that takes a while to make something like that, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. No. I mean, I enjoy doing those things, but I mean, I was sort of buried in a kind of mountain of them for years. I used to sort of say I was living in a kind of collage hell. Yeah. Yeah, because I could never. I mean, I'd go to the dentist. I've got 10 assistants in the studio, chopping up God knows how much stuff. There was one guy cutting up frogs. Actually, there's 5 guys cutting up frogs. There's another guy getting rubber frogs and putting them under the photocopier to make them look more energetic. There's another woman sort of, I need some money for the money lenders collage. Yeah, yeah. I want it to be burning, so I've got a wee Japanese girl sort of getting, photocopying money, which is very difficult to use to do in a photocopier. Actually, you've got to bury the £5 note in a sea of other things, and it will photocopy it. So she's doing that, and then she's making sort of burn marks from some of the burn marks we've got in the files that are things marked burned, and it's, all that stuff. And I've gone to the dentist, and I've got. I mean, there's a sea of fucking files, and a sort of amount of activity, and I'm in the dentist, and I'm looking at the magazine on the thing. And so I put and I'm going, and I'm thinking, fuck, this is an illness. There's something fucking wrong with you, You've got millions of things at the back of the studio. What the hell do you need that for? I'm actually sort of speaking to myself like that. So. And actually, I've not shown that other works in there, but the things I'm making now with like hundreds of thousands, millions of nails, screws, stuff like that. I'll spend the whole day downstairs, looking longingly at the kind of collage tables where I can make 4 of them, but this thing is going to take me 3 months, and my arms are fucking aching, so I'm banging nails into this thing. But I've managed to bang in 2,000 nails in that day, and I'll go upstairs again and say, look, honey, I banged in 2,000 nails in a bit of wood today, And it's just, what a fucking moron, So it does become that kind of, I need to do this, but it's not the cleverest thing in the world, Other people are doing kind of important things. And you're fine, I'm not going to be that person. I'm the person that does this stuff.
No, but it's, and I'll finish on this, and then we'll throw out for some questions and that now. But I just feel that you doing this, and it's everything. It's everything you do. It's that it doesn't matter whether you're talking in Largo, or you're banging nails into a bit of wood, or you're making a gorilla out of coat hangers, or you're making a Tunnocks tiger, well done, or the collages, which make me piss myself. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It just feels like the world's a little bit better because you're doing that. And,
well, that'd be great.
And, you're not a banker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're not, even
That's
though
the nicest thing
you've already said you're driven by greed. I get the feeling you make a great banker.
God, if only. Fuck,
yeah. But anyway, so I'll thank you now. And do we have any questions for David Mack from the floor? If you could just hold on while our delightful assistants here have the microphones, because we are recording tonight's event for a broadcast in the Sunday morning religious section of BBC Scotland. David Mack's Spiritual Reflections. The bloke at BBC Scotland that runs the beeping machine has already got RSA. So there's a gentleman there, has a microphone. Your name, please, sir, first.
My name's Ken.
This is Ken. Your question,
Hi,
Ken.
Hi, David. Well, I've only got 2 questions, which is cheeky, but one of them is, what's the very biggest thing you've ever made?
Probably the thing we made for Edinburgh for the 1990 thing, the container temple down at Leith. Temple at Tyre, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah.
And how did you two get to know each other?
It's a long story. I ran a coat hanger concession in a John Lewis in Essex.
In Essex, that was.
It was Essex. I don't know. He invited me to a thing, and I went to the thing, and I'd never met him before. And they went to the bloke who invited you over there, and that's how we met. So there you go. He took me to a Royal Academy dinner, and I actually
felt very guilty about that, because the Royal
Why?
Academy dinners could be really incredibly fucking dull. But I'm thinking, I need to invite somebody who's going to keep me alive during the course of this whole fucking meal.
It was a good night, though. I enjoyed it. It was really good fun. Honestly, I'll tell you what, and you have to understand, I've hung around with rock and rollers. I've toured with bands. I've been on the road with the House Martins and the Style Council and Madness. The Royal Academy, they were shit-faced, all of them. I'm telling you now, I have never seen so many drunk people in my life as at the Royal Academy. That was absolutely mind-boggling. Grayson Perry walking downstairs in 6-inch heels is the funniest thing I've ever seen. He was like, me and him were behind going,
You trip him up, I'll get his purse.
That's what he said. It was dynamite. It was a great, great evening. Marvellous to see so many legendary people. Mortal. Question. There, madam. Thank you. Hold on. Here comes the microphone. Thank you, Colin. Your name, madam?
Christine.
Hello, Christine.
What came first, the tiger or the tunnocks?
Christine's got an interesting technique there. She's got the microphone. She's going, what came first? The tiger or the tunnocks?
Yes.
That's not how microphones work, Christine, my love.
Yeah, for a minute I thought I was in the Waverley Station.
There was a little bit of...
Well, I mean, obviously, Tunnocks came first. Yeah? But my brother, Robert, he's been foiling sculpture for some time now. And he uses Tunnocks wafers, wrappers, and various other things.
He did your room, didn't he, that year?
He did the room at the Royal Academy.
There was lines.
Beautiful,
Beautiful,
thing.
yeah.
He does beautiful things. It's almost like if you imagine gold leafing something, but he does it with kind of very ordinary materials, you know. So we talked about, and he jokes about actually, as he has shows called Foiled Again, stuff like that. And he jokes about getting we're working his way very slowly towards type 2 diabetes, because he eats all the biscuits and Tunnocks wafers before he puts the wrappers on, you know. So, and actually, the pair of us were stuffed full of those things when we made the tiger for the Royal Academy. But we had collaborated on something before, but I dubbed this this is the first real kind of Mach Brothers collaboration.
Yeah.
So we did that together at that piece. And he was very annoyed because it was billed at the Royal Academy as David Mack's thing. I didn't get a mention at all.
Has it been sold?
Not yet, but there is interest in it. You know, I'm thinking of changing it because people keep phoning up, getting in touch and saying, "No, we want it, but it's too big, takes up too much floor space." So I've got a guy coming in next week who's going to make it so that it fits on the fucking wall. You know, so you can just sort of lock it onto the wall, and it looks like it's walking along the wall like that. Or I'm thinking about the ceiling as well, and I think that might actually shift it. And we're looking for a rich Indian guy who may have a chain of hotels right across that continent, who might like a series of life-size elephants foiled and, you know.
I think what definitely would shift it is if you told people if they unwrapped it, inside is a chocolate Tunnock's tea cake tiger with a kind of marshmallow and biscuit filling. I think that'd be acceptable.
That's quite a good
Question.
idea, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, there's a gentleman there. Here comes our lovely, thank you, Sheena. There we go. Your
Nick,
name, sir. Come on,
Nick,
let's.
Sorry.
We're all
Nick.
friends. Nick.
Actually, we want your name and address just in case you ask something difficult.
There's
They'll know
usually
where
a
to
thing about
find you.
making big things out of wee things. Is that a deliberate thing you've thought about, or is it just something that's happened?
Big things out of
Well,
me.
I mean, I used to get accused a long time ago of, you just want to make big things, don't you? You know? And I'd have arguments with people in studios and things, because you'd be taking up so much space and whatnot. And then I remember making the first match heads, and those heads were head size, and they were made of 25,000 matches, or or whatever. And it wasn't the size, it wasn't the kind of size of the thing, the overall size. It was the effort that you employed to make the thing that was obviously important, you know. Because I mean, like even the wee college take that effort, it takes that kind of concentration and effort to make them exist. And of course, they can't exist by themselves. Little bastards have to exist in series, so you've got to stay up all night and make them all the time. So I like the kind of the scale of effort, and that's a mental thing again. Without a doubt, I can't get away from that. Every job I had as a kid, as a student, even as a kid when you were sent to totty picking, and you got that repeat process, so you're just going up and down a field all day, and the numbers of potatoes, and the numbers of times you had to lift it into the truck that picked them up and stuff. That kind of mass production thing. Yeah. I worked in whiskey bond and leaving. Sort of 4 or 5 times over summers, and you're watching this kind of same process where millions of gallons of whiskey were going through a kind of bottling system, and it was being packed in boxes. I worked in the bonds where we built the metalwork to hold the barrels that holds the whiskey, vast, huge things, well worth seeing. I don't know why they don't just open them up as a kind of tourist thing. It's sort of fantastic. I mean, hell, I even worked at a Kazoo Works where we made I remember even then, that must have been like 1970 something. I'm carving the end of a tree, This machine would spit out sort of pine trees, but the two ends weren't carved. They couldn't do the two ends. So you have a man at either end of this thing, on this trolley on rails, So I'm at one end, sort of shouting. They were so fucking big, I had to shout to go at the other end. And there's a weird perspective thing as well, because the pine trees sort of go, the fat end, there's a fat end and a short end. But because of perspective, it always looked like it was going away. It was a really weird thing. So anyway, I'm on the end of this thing, you'd peel this thing, sort of lift it like that, peel it again, and then we'd throw it on the sort of rails, and it would just do that the whole day. It was the repeat effort of something like that, and the stupidity of that thing. People. I mean, who the fuck is using wooden telegraph poles? I mean, obviously they were still putting them up someplace, But I mean, we had thousands of the damn things, and so I was trapped. It was like being a kind of Neanderthal trapped in an extra Neanderthal world. It was really odd. But I, of course, I'm as happy as fucking Larry because I'm just doing this sort of repeat thing, many times. I'd go home at night going, "No, I carved 500 poles today."
It's a shame you didn't sign them because, imagine going around Fife and going, that's the David Mack.
Well,
That
I want to build cabins, of course. Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, no, I didn't do it, but I've got a log cabin thing coming up, so I'm revisiting that whole thing.
You're gonna be doing that
Architecture is going to become big, and
Yeah?
yeah, definitely. Once I get the marketing suite finished.
A log cabin? You threw
Well,
that in.
I had this idea for a log cabin that might be I was thinking about the Klondike,
Of course you were.
Yeah. And
It's with your tough metal upbringing, and your mum and your dad. I mean, your life has basically been a country song, hasn't it? My daddy was behind a tractor in the Ukraine.
tied to chains. I'm sure we get it. But anyway, the idea would be that Salvador Dali had a brother, Ebenezer Dali, who had, unlike Salvador, who'd stayed in Spain and painted a bit, Ebenezer went over to this, maybe he was an ancestor, he'd been a brother. Maybe he was his great uncle or something like that. But anyway, Ebenezer Dally ends up in the Klondike, on the west coast of America, in the gold rush, and decides to build himself a cabin. But Ebenezer, because he's a Dally, has that surrealist streak running through him. So while all the other guys in the camp were building these straight things, sort of regular, right angles and stuff, Ebenezer was finding the curviest, Scots pines, And maybe that's where the truth of the thing occurs here, because the Scots pine is my favourite tree, because I like the way it's like if two trees were talking together and they were both Scots pines, and one of them said to the other, "What kind of tree are you?" They say, "I'm a Scots pine." "You're not a fucking Scots pine." Because they do look entirely different. They're the same sort of. But anyway, there's Ebenezer on the west coast of.
I wouldn't open with it.
So he's got these trees that do this, and so eventually he makes this amazing, surreal, log cabin, which I've designed and actually built. Now I'm looking to make the sort of real thing. But this is where you get curators and directors, a very serious bunch. When I tell them that story, they don't seem to be able to grasp the kind of brevity of. And when I make references to the Dalys, and you'll get one guy said, "I didn't even know Salvador had a great uncle." I'm going, "What? You fucking dick, man." So far, I haven't been able to get a gallery to take it on. But, we'll build it nevertheless, I'm sure.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, he may very well build the biggest sculptures in the world, but the man also burns his bridges. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much to Royal Scottish Academy for having us along here today, doing this wee event. Thank you all so much for coming. Colin, thanks very much indeed.
Colin.
Cold. I know it's a weird ending. You've got the microphone there. Is there something happening?
Yeah, I'm going to do vote of thanks as well.
Oh, he's going to do the thank you, so I'm shutting up now.
Well, someone has to thank you both. I hope you'll agree that we've been around the world. We've had some emotional ups and downs. We've heard some heart-rending stories of childhood, and we've revisited that 5-year-old again and again, which has been interesting. David's show is on until Sunday, upstairs in the Royal Scottish Academy. This has been a really exciting and funny hour and a half of our lives, I think, and we won't forget it in a while. But I have to thank you all for coming along.
You know what
and
was
being
really nice
part.
about it? We hardly even talked about art.
Yeah.
You never talked about art. Well, it's just left for me to thank you both, David, for everything you've done over the last little while with us, and for tonight, and Phill for steering us through this maelstrom.
I wasn't
which has
busy.
been fun. Thank you.
I've got a lot of free time these days, so I'm going to be honest with you, Colin.
Put your hands together for Phill Jupitus and David Mach.